Welcome to the Diva Deets, the ultimate podcast for women over 40 who are ready to take control of their health, ditch the diets, and lose weight for good. I'm your host and coach, Danya Powers, and I help women navigate midlife changes, crush weight loss plateaus, and build the kind of strength and energy and confidence that's going to make them feel unstoppable. So no matter what is happening or what hormones are thrown your way, I'm here to help you out. And today we're going to talk about something that's really kind of exploding right now in conversations, in my DMs, across the board. Clients are asking questions. And honestly, that is, what happens when Ozempic stalls. I've lost 30 pounds. Ozempic's not working anymore. What happens? And most of the time, doctors want to up the dose of Ozempic. And I'm here to encourage you to keep the same dose, but let's work with that today, because you start the medication, the weight starts dropping, and then you think, oh, finally something is working, and then it stops. So like maybe down 15 pounds. Most of the time I'm noticing it's somewhere between 28 and 32 pounds with most women, and it just stops. Maybe you might get more, and you'll think, oh gosh, what did I do wrong? Or I need to move up on the dose. And then what happens most of the time, well, with all of the clients that I have had deal with this, they all get incredibly sick after they up the dose. They start feeling really ill all the time. They're, doing a lot of either vomiting or constant nausea, and that's no fun. That's not going to help your quality of life. And so I just am here to tell you, you didn't do anything wrong, Diva. What's happening is that your body is doing what bodies do best, and that's adapting. And I mean, what a great thing that our bodies are designed to be adaptable. So we're going to talk about why that happens today and what to do about it. So it's a really actionable plan so that you can make sure that your hard-earned progress, not to mention the financial investment that went into that, because that is not a cheap investment to invest in Ozempic or any of the other GLP-1s out there. You want to make sure that that doesn't slip away. Especially eventually, I'm hoping that you're planning to stop the medication at some point, right? So that you don't have to chronically take this medication forever. And I'm going to also share some details on a one-on-one coaching that is coming out called Beyond the Shot, because we need a game plan that goes deeper than just a prescription. So, let's just dive into Ozempic. Why does Ozempic work, and why does it stop working? So Ozempic, if you're not familiar with it, it's called a GLP-1. It's of the GLP-1 medication family, and it mimics a natural hormone that helps regulate blood sugar. It helps slow your digestion down, and it suppresses appetite. That's why you will feel full faster. That's why you will eat less without having to white knuckle your way through cravings. And that's why a lot of times for some people, it really helps with food noise in their head. So in clinical trials, people lost an average of about 15% of their body weight. It takes about 68 weeks for that to happen. It's not a super fast process, but it does happen in about just a little bit over a year. And so that's huge, especially if you've been stuck for years, or if you felt really helpless to obesity and that's been a problem. But what most women are not told is that everybody I've dealt with, 100% of everybody that I've dealt with has hit a plateau. And often that's right around the 12-month mark or the 30-pound marker. Okay. Why? Because your metabolism is kind of like your own thermostat. At first you set it lower and your body's burning more fat. You eat less, you're in a deficit. Maybe you've been overeating for a while, or you've been binge eating and then purging and maybe not purging, but you know what I mean? Like binge eating and then starving yourself and binge eating. But eventually your body goes, this feels dangerous. And now it turns the dial back up to save energy, to save you from starving. It helps you prevent like calorie burn. So you're burning fewer calories to protect you, even if you're doing exactly the same things. So this sounds familiar, doesn't it? It sounds a lot like dealing with menopausal weight gain and trying to lose weight when you're over 40. To me, GLP-1 is almost that same journey, which is why I thought, I'm going to start working on being able to help women rather than continue to try to push against this and encourage women not to get medicated. I do not take Ozempic or GLP-1. I don't. And I don't want to make you think that I do and giving it the big green thumbs up from Poppy. But the reality is 1 in 4 Americans right now are on a GLP-1 of some sort. And so I am leaning into that and wanting to help, wanting to offer a helping hand, especially to help you eventually get off the medication, but working with it while it's helping you. So Harvard Health, The Atlantic, both show metabolic adaptation after significant weight loss, even on GLP-1s. So I encourage you to study, like go read some studies. GLP-1s have been out long enough now that there's some pretty good studies out there, which is why I've held back. I wanted to make sure there was enough data and information that I could go to be able to truly help you. But think about, like, this is kind of like you're driving down a hill with your foot on the brake, okay? At first, the car slows easily, but if the hill flattens out and you keep pushing the brake, nothing really changes. You've got to adjust how you're driving. You have to let go a little. Does that make sense? To keep on going. So the 5 most common plateaus that I've run into with clients on GLP-1 is they are under fueling. And this is true for all clients across the board. So even if you're not on Ozempic, please keep listening, because this, I think, will really help you. Okay. And I'm not encouraging you to get on Ozempic. Let me just make sure that that is clear. When your appetite tanks, it's easy to eat too little. So if you already came to me and you don't have much of an appetite, and that's true for most women because their body's been feasting on their muscle and they don't eat much. Because eating less has been Generation X, eat less, eat less, eat less. You know, eat a shake for breakfast, a shake for lunch, a sensible dinner, starve yourself, eat less, eat less. And that's not what needs to happen if you are a woman over 40. Too little food means too little muscle maintenance. Too little food means too little muscle maintenance. Less muscle equals less metabolism. Period. End of story. Ozempic or no. GLP-1 or no. Okay. Starving yourself through a stall is like putting your phone on low power mode and expecting the same performance. You know, on low power mode, you're not getting the same amount of notifications. You're not getting a lot of the stuff that the phone will offer as a feature. Your body's the same way. It starts shutting stuff down so that you can stay in low power mode. So if you are under fueling, it's going to stall your progress. Okay. So make sure that you are getting enough food. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. Muscle loss is a big part of this. So in a study that I read, let me get the right name of the study. It's a meta review published in Endocrinology Metabolism, says that more than half of the GLP-1 receptor agonists, like Ozempic, found in lean body mass accounted for 20 to 50% of total weight loss. What does that mean? I mean, you're losing like potentially 40% of your weight loss in muscle. So that's a lot. That's a lot of your muscle. So if that means if you lost 150 pounds on Ozempic, 40% of that is muscle. So if you're not doing resistance training, it's kind of like selling the engine parts of your car to make it lighter, but now it doesn't run. Does that make sense? So you can't have that weight loss not affect your performance in the end. You can't have that weight loss not affect what is going to happen to you in the long run as you continue to underfuel and lose more and more muscle. Now you're at risk for other things, osteoporosis, all the things we're trying to combat at this age. So you have to add resistance training to your plan. And if I will put this actual study that I read, I'll put the link to that in the notes of this on YouTube and on Spotify and Apple, whatever I'm on. Studies show that when you are using a GLP-1 medication, you want to make sure that you are focused on sleep. It can fiddle with your sleep. So because if you haven't dealt with your stress situation, Ozempic doesn't help that. It kind of exacerbates it. So the poor sleep, the high cortisol, those things wreck your fat loss and it makes cravings worse. So for midlife women, hormones are already making it hard to recover from stress. Well, when you're on a GLP-1, that high cortisol doesn't go away. If you're not dealing with it, Ozempic is not going to make that go away. And by starving the body, your cortisol is actually going to get a little bit higher. So you want to make sure that if you do have a high stress life or a high stress situation or things are happening that are causing you a lot of chronic stress, you have to handle that. And one of the biggest things that's going to help you with that is getting enough sleep. So if Ozempic or a GLP-1 that you are taking is messing with your sleep, make sure that you get something to help with that so that you are getting plenty of sleep, okay? The lack of progression happens with people with a weight loss journey no matter who they are, okay? GLP-1 is not the magical cure-all for everything. It's not. And if somebody's told you that, it's just because it worked for them in a season. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to work for you. But what worked in month one is not going to work the same in month 12 because you are a different person. I was talking with a client earlier today. She's been with me for 2 years and our goals have changed. She lost all of the weight that she wanted, and now she's trying to get into a state of maintenance and get into a state of, she's like focused on the scale, and I'm trying to get her to understand that I'm focused on her body and what's happening with her body, and we're making sure that we're putting muscle on. But it's hard to not get hung up on that. But she has to understand that your plan has to evolve. So when you go into maintenance, you're taking the calories up, 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 up. The scale may actually go up during that. Not because you got fatter, but because you gained more lean muscle mass. So think of it like your iPhone. It needs updates or it starts lagging. Okay. Does that make sense? So until you go ahead and give in and do the update, how many of you guys fight the updates? Like, I don't want to do the update. I know it's going to change everything on my screen, but at the same time, your body does the same thing. You're going to have to up the calories. Eventually, you're going to be moving calories up, up, up. Not down, 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 especially if you're a woman over 40. Staying in a deficit creates chronic dieting. Chronic dieting is what got you, especially a big belly in the first place. That is a fat storage mode. So, and then the other part of Ozempic that I see all the time is nobody really has an exit strategy. The medical community doesn't offer an exit strategy. And what do I mean by that? If you stop the medication without building habits that support your new weight, regain is almost guaranteed. You're almost 100% guaranteed that you've spent all this time, all this money, potentially felt terrible while you were taking this drug, and now you're going to get it all back. That's not fear mongering; it's fact. So you have to create an exit strategy. So if you are on a GLP-1 and you haven't created an exit strategy, this is your sign that needs to be part of your plan. And so your medical person may not be able to help you with that, but I definitely can. And there's a lot of really good coaches out there that have a lot of experience with GLP-1s. So how to break through without breaking your body is what we're going to go into next. And these are really important. I want you to make sure that you're building muscle like your life depends on it. Like your results depend on it, like everything depends on it, because it really does. So 2 to 3 strength training sessions a week minimum. I recommend 3 to 4, if I'm being quite honest with you. Aim for progressive overload. That's like fancy terms for gradually lifting heavier or doing more reps, making sure that you are pushing yourself to almost failure, if not failure. Like especially with push-ups, if you're practicing push-ups, you need to get to the point you cannot push back up because you have completely pushed to failure in that. Your protein target is really critical. You need to be eating 5 to 6 times a day. Each one of the meals needs to have 25 to 35 grams of protein. Make sure you are eating enough to support your metabolism. If you don't know how many calories you should be eating, I want you to go to a website called tdeecalculator.net. Make sure that you put in there that you are moderately active, unless your job is sleeping 24 hours a day. Then you can put sedentary and then see what your calories should be. From that, you do a deficit of maybe 250 calories at the most if you're on Ozempic, and then take those calories and split them over 5 to 6 meals. You can't keep your calories at rock bottom forever. You cannot. Your body got fat because we are dealing with somebody most likely who has chronically dieted. Not to mention the fact that, remember that up to 50% of the weight you lost is muscle. So we have to make sure that we are not staying in such a calorie deficit that we can't support the muscle that our body needs. So think fuel and burn, not cut and pray. Okay? We want to stay focused on what our goals are in the first place. If we've lost sight of that, why are we even taking GLP-1? Why are we even doing that? We don't want to feel worse. We want to feel better. We need to make sure that we are for sure eating enough to support our metabolism. Move more outside the gym. That seems like such an easy thing to say. Seasonally, it's a little bit harder for me because I'm not a cold weather person, but I do make myself get outside every single day and move, even in the cold weather. Yeah, I fuss about it, but I do it because the non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, walking, standing, fidgeting, those things all matter. Even an extra 2,000 steps a day can nudge the scale again. So if your goal has been 4,000 steps a day, do that for 7 days. And then the next week, make it 5. And then the next week, make it 6. And before you know it, you'll be doing 8 to 10,000 steps without blinking. I easily hit 8,000 steps without really adding a whole lot to my day, every single day. So I know that can be done. And, coming back, I know I talk about my hysterectomy a lot, but coming back from the hysterectomy, that was probably one of the hardest things that I had to add in, because for the longest time, exhaustion was my world. I was so tired after that surgery. And so adding those extra steps just felt like the most daunting thing. But you know what? When I was first in my weight loss journey with this 50-pound weight gain, before I started this madness, I felt the same way. I was so tired that I would come home at 5 o'clock and just sit. And I didn't care whether I ate. I didn't care about making food for the family when my phone is right there and I can order a pizza. I was so, so, so tired. So it was very similar to that. But when you get up and you move, make yourself move every single day, 7 days a week, you are doing those neat exercises, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, those neat exercises, moving, standing, walking, those things all add up. They really, really do. Go ahead and audit your stress and recovery. Think about, like, what is your most stressful day of the week? What are the things that keep you up at night? What is happening in your head when you do wake up, and can you get back to sleep? Is there ways to kind of resolve? You can't out Ozempic life that's constantly in fight or flight. You can't, no matter what you take. If you have to look at, like, when I say audit it, really look like, what is causing me to feel this way? What has made me get to this point that I'm like wide awake at 3 o'clock in the morning, thinking about my finances, thinking about, my kid. Half the time when I wake up, I'll be like, like, God is calling me to pray about something. So I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray till I fall asleep. And that's usually what happens. And so whatever it is, whatever's waking you up, there's something that is gnawing at you. So audit that, make sure you're paying attention to that and deal with it. Figure out, make a plan of action so that you can for sure not keep wrestling with that every single night. Because if you don't deal with it, if you don't face your stress head on and figure out, like, what is my serenity prayer with this? What can I let go? What can I, God, give me the things that I can control. Let me let go of the things that I cannot. Right? If you can't control it, then it's going to continue to eat at you. If you continue to struggle with this, one of the things that I've done that's really helped me is take everything that you are stressed out of, put it on a piece of paper. Put it on a piece of paper. And then I want you to mark out everything that you can't control. You're left with usually about 2 things, and you're like, oh, it feels better. I don't even know what to say. You're just kind of like, I can let that go. I really can't control that my kid threw a fit in the middle of the store because I, can't control that. I'm going to, train them out the best way that I can. But if they threw a fit in the middle of the store, that's really on them. I can't change other people's behavior, right? So just kind of look at that. That mind dump really does help me. And then this is one thing. I was talking with a client recently. Her doctor upped her GLP-1 dose, and she pretty much threw up for days on end. She just kept throwing up and kept throwing up. And that is one of the potential chronic side effects, is that it will go in and start to freeze up your digestive system. And we don't want that. So work with your provider. And I told her, I said, you tell your provider, this is making me sick. I want to take the dose back down. It was working fine down at the lower dose. And if it's making you super sick, to up the dose, work with them, because you want to make sure that it's appropriate for your life. You still have to function in your life. You can't be so ill that you can't go to work. If your medication's making you feel bad, take that dose back to where it was when it wasn't making you feel bad, and start to address these other issues that may be causing your weight stall. It's not take more medication that's going to cause your weight to start losing again. It's get control of your habit that is going to do that. So sometimes a dose adjustment or just switching medication is appropriate, but remember that your lifestyle absolutely comes first. So here's the truth. Ozempic is a tool. It is like any other tool. It's a powerful one, but it's not the whole toolbox. And it's really important that you understand that. I wish that there was a little bit more information out there that people had access to in that regard. But if you've hit a stall, or if you're terrified of what happens when you stop, you need a plan that works with your body and not against your body. And that's exactly why I created the new empowered program called Beyond the Shot. It's a private one-on-one coaching, online coaching program for women on GLP-1s who want to keep losing fat without losing muscle, who want to break plateaus without starving, who want to build a true exit strategy so that the weight stays off long-term, even beyond the shot, which is why we came up with the name Go Us, and learn how to fuel and train and live in a way that works with your hormones. Especially if you're a woman over 40 listening to this, some of this we can just fix with 4 pillars of exercise that the divas focus on, 4 pillars of life, not even really exercise. So if you're ready to break through the stall and feel strong in your own skin, I want you to message me the word beyond, or message me the phrase beyond the shot, so that I know that what it is, which episode it is that you heard or saw, and I can reach out and help you and see how we can even move forward potentially with you as a client, because I am looking for clients this month. I still have some openings left this month. And let's go beyond the shot and into your power. I want to make sure that you know that there's no condemnation in this game. It's just a matter of, I want to empower you to own your life again. I don't want you to be held slave to a medication. And that's what I see across the board. My ladies on Facebook that reach out, my ladies on Instagram that reach out, I had to stop taking the shot and now I'm gaining weight back. Well, I'm here to help you with that. I'm here to help you with that. So until next time, I want you guys to stay strong, stay fabulous, and stay consistent, my divas. Thanks for tuning into this latest episode of the Diva Deets. If this helped you and you found it valuable, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Ready for more support? Join my free Facebook community or join my coaching community. The details are in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe, and until next time, stay strong, stay consistent, and stay fabulous, my divas.